Before we get back to the rest of that video, I want to let everyone know that I have started a brand called Murasaki Altair. This is a brand dedicated to TCG accessories as well as apparel, sort of based by weebs for weebs. It's one of those things. We just released our Kingslayer, otherwise known as Merlin/Lorraine set. The drop is now live on the website, which you can find in the description below. We have hoodies, we have t-shirts, we have stickers, and we have sleeves. So like I said, check that out below. The link is in the description. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. We're going to be trying something a little bit new today. As you see on my screen, and as you probably guessed from the title of the video, we are doing a little bit of POV gameplay review. We're going to go over a couple of my games from the Yeti webcam last week. We're going to talk about some lines, talk about the plays I wanted to do, and go through maybe what should be fixed, what shouldn't be fixed, etc. with them being played. But we're not going to go too far into this explanation. We're going to go ahead and start the video. And notice there's going to be no game audio on this point. It's going to be just me talking over it. Just because of the sake of privacy for certain people, and they agreed to this. But the way we're opening, we have our opponent go ahead and open up 7 cards, Spirit of Wind. No idea what I'm playing against right now. This is round 2. I did have the round 1 buy in the Yeti Weekly. So first thing I see is a Lurking Salmon. I go, okay, this is some form of Wind Allies list. So Wind Allies, I have, looking at my deck, there's a couple cards I could do. There's Sable Runner, Try and Clear. I need my Sadies. I need maybe some Zephyrs I added in here at this point to go ahead and deal with this type of board state. But we are going to go ahead and do our Spirit of Wind, and we're going to go ahead and draw our 7 cards, looking at some Mastermind schemes of Veiling Breeze, Zephyr, a Reclaim, a Dungeon Guide, and another Mastermind scheme. Not really the best hand we're looking at here. A little bit of a slow opener. There could have been an argument to go ahead and just get the Dungeon Guide down if we want to go ahead and play cards, but we're not going to at this point. So we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn over to our opponent here, knowing that we have the Zephyr and the Reclaim backup if we need to, if they get in some form of big swing early on, which usually they don't. So, if you haven't guessed by now, we are playing the Wind Tristan. Wind Tristan's a deck that's been played a lot by Cabe and a couple others. A very high skill level deck. Very hard to pilot, very hard to navigate, which is why I'm making this video to go ahead and get used to sort of looking at my play mistakes, and everyone can learn from what I'm playing here and what not to do. So, opponent's going to go ahead and get a backup charger. They're going to do the thing during the recollect, go ahead and draw an extra card into memory, get the Power Cell token, and they're going to go ahead and recollect and draw. This makes you think, okay, Power Cell is still pretty good no matter what. So this could still be a little bit of a Wind Allies robot list, which is going to be a little bit harder. I have to watch out for Andronica. I have to watch out for Rose. I have to watch out for a couple other cards. But for the most part, it could be a scary list if it gets dealt with early. I do apologize also for the little bit of a camera angle and me fidgeting with the ring. It's just sort of a bad habit I have. I really got used to it when I'm seeing sort of cards played. But there's going to be an Armor Valkyrie coming down. I understand Armor Valkyrie, guys. This is going to be a Wind Robots hybrid list. They're going to go ahead and pay their 3. And I'm thinking about, do I want to go ahead and try and save life a little bit? Do I want a Zephyr? Do I want to get anything down in the sword spot? Instead, we're going to go ahead and take this damage early. Nothing I'm paying out of memory, so we're going to go ahead and take 2 and takes the other 4 here from the Lurking Assailant. So total 2 damage trying to dig. Here comes my first stake. I play backup charger early here. I like it, but I also don't like it. I have the turbo jar in hand early on, so I can go ahead and activate this nice and early on, get the extra card draw on the memory. I'm sort of digging at this point, not really interaction. And draw my little frog Power Cell token, gets flipped over for a Power Cell. And we're going to go ahead and draw into our memory for the Power Cell, recollect, and we're going to go ahead and draw for turn. So we draw Wind Engineer, which is useful. We end up drawing a Dream Fairy as well, which could be really good. So we have a couple good cards that could be pure gas at this point. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put more than likely 3 down to turbocharge, which I think was a mistake here. I already had good cards in hand. I didn't have to gas this hand any more than I already did at this point. So playing the turbocharge was a mistake on my part. To go ahead and draw the extra 2 cards. There wasn't really much else I needed. I did draw an Incap and another Dream Fairy, which could sort of set up my hand. I made it really awkward to level up in the level 1, and I have to go ahead and do some math here, which I can Windmill Engineer and then Reclaim if I want to, which I end up almost putting it down. But we're going to go ahead and reveal our Zephyr, and we're going to go ahead and imbue with Dream Fairy as well to get an imbued Windmill Engineer to draw cards. And I got into the trap of sort of going for pure value here at this point. But we're going to go ahead and get that imbue down. We do have some cards up, so we're going to reclaim the Wind Engineer if we need to save it, as well as go to level 1 later on as well. So we draw a card in the memory here, and we're going to go ahead and more likely swing in for the 1 if I didn't forget to do that. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Yeah, we go ahead and swing in for 1, deal 1 damage to face, and pass it over to our opponent with a couple cards in hand, or we could go ahead and do a reclaim. So you're going to see a little jump here. This is because I was readjusting the camera angle a little bit. The camera angle was a little off. I didn't like it too much where it was standing, so I did end up tweaking it for the remainder of the video. So our opponent's going to go ahead. They're going to, I don't think they're going to untap, they're going to get a Wind Resonance Bauble to get the extra card draw, pretty much try and get the main value as they can out of all their draws, which you're going to go ahead and use again at the recollection step. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, okay, I have an Armored Valkyrie and a Lurking Assailant on the field, and there's a Fairy Whistle coming down, so I have to have a way to deal with this allies board. I do have an Ensnare to Fumes, which just feels sort of bad for the most part, but I have to understand that this is sort of where it's going to possibly end up being at this point, where I'm going to have to probably wimp my Ensnare Fumes just to clear a board if he ends up going too wide as a whole. But we go ahead and see what our opponent does. They're going to look, see what cards they're going to keep on top. I can't remember exactly what they kept on top. I think it is a Reclaim themselves or a Zephyr. I did end up having to cut that out. I did end up seeing that resolve. Like I said, this was a little bit of tweaking because audio and such was out of sync. But they're going to go ahead and swing in 2 and 2 here in the face. I'm going to take a couple more. I'm not too worried about the damage just yet. I'm a very firm believer that life is a resource. I know they're going to play more cards, but in just case, they are going to go ahead and play these other Lurking Assailant at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 damage up to 10. So, more likely my opponent's passing here. 5 cards in hand. We're going to do the thing. We're going to reclaim Windmill Engineer. Get the floating memory so we can go on a level. We're going to need the life at this point. My opponent's going to say, I'm pretty sure, go ahead. Yep, get the draw in the hand. Get a floating memory in. I'm just going to sort of shortcut it. Put it into my banishment. So we go ahead and go into level 1 Tristan. No Surveillance Winds, which has sort of been rough, but we get our 1 prep counter. We have a lot of cards in hand to do a lot of different interactions. And there's nothing else in my hand to do. I don't have a Surveillance Winds, like I said, to do a free-rec. So we're going to go ahead and recollect and draw into another Zephyr. So my hand's looking a little rough at this point. This is going to be, I think, if my memory serves, I'm going to have a little bit of a misplay here. We're going to walk through that very shortly. If I'm going to sort of pause the video as it goes around here. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put 3 down. I think we're going to go ahead and attempt to Dream Fairy. So we're trying to figure out what we want to do, because we could also play Sadie. At this point, I'm trying to do math like it's Sadie and Zephyr on top of it to try and get a kill, as well as just try and clear board state. As I have to remember that Armored Valkyrie does have Steadfast to retaliate against Sadie, so I'm a little bit more careful about that retaliation. So we're going to go ahead and Dream Fairy here. And I made the first mistake, as this Dream Fairy is going to go ahead and target Armored Valkyrie. I should have target Lurking Assailant. Armored Valkyrie wasn't as big as a threat, but I was thinking too much in the value of killing a Lurking Assailant with Sadie that I didn't think too much of it. So they're going to go ahead and attempt to reclaim the Armored Valkyrie, and I should have just let this resolve. It would have been a unit off the board. I wouldn't have too much to worry about it. I have a Zephyr in hand, and it would have been too much to worry about. But instead, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to incap this, get one of the incaps out of my hand. I'm also going to go down a couple different cards where I can't Zephyr as well. I went down a lot of resources here just to incap and get rid of this, and get rid of this reclaim. So it's reclaim to an encounter. They still have the floating memory in their grave, which sort of hurts me as well. And we're going to go ahead and just pay it out a little bit differently before I incapped and let it resolve. So we do have a few more cards in hand, and that does resolve. Armored Valkyrie is off the board, and I'm thinking about now going ahead to be able to play Sadie, which I put down because I knew I needed to go ahead and save this Dream Fairy in case that was possible, and we're going to go ahead and swing 1 in the face. So I'm going to pause the video here real quick. Sorry for any jarring that maybe just happened with the cut, because I accidentally hit stop on the video playback instead of pause. So what I should have done here is that I should have gone ahead and I should have banished Lurking Assailant. I had a Zephyr in hand. I go to attempt to banish the Lurking Assailant, get the Lurking Assailant off the board. If they reclaim it, I let the reclaim resolve, and I could always Zephyr my own Dream Fairy to then let Dream Fairy come back, resolve banishing the other Lurking Assailant here, and then both Lurking Assailants would have been off the board, and that Armored Valkyrie still be around, which is fine at this point. But Lurking Assailant, that's going to deal a lot more damage to me in this game, would have been off the board. 2 cards my opponent can't cast unless his Dream Fairy is answered in any form, shape, or way, which then I think I saw another reclaim in hand. I would have saw the incap in hand. They're going to deal with any level of interaction. So that was a severe misplay on my part, and I should have been a little bit more aware of it. But as you see here, the Lurking Assailant is going to get an extra 2 damage in. I'm going to take pretty much a total of 4 damage on this Lurking Assailant. Instead, I will Veiling Breeze though. Again, this is a Veiling Breeze I could have saved in my hand for later in the game, because of the fact that my opponent would have had these off the board. I wouldn't have to worry about taking this extra 4 and then wasting a Veiling Breeze to play the gameplay a little bit later, and instead going for pure value. But instead, I decided to go ahead and do that. I ended up going for a Veiling Breeze here, going to negate the damage. But it makes it sort of an awkward spot for me this time. I went down a lot of resources to keep this sort of interaction alive instead of dealing with these lurkings. But our opponent's going to go ahead. Veiling Breeze is going to go to resolve. I still have an Ensnaring Fumes in hand if I need to go ahead and clear the board. But it still makes it sort of an overall rough spot. So our opponent's going to go ahead and think about what to do next at this point. And then while they're sitting there thinking about doing that, We're sort of looking, trying to figure out hand. We have double Mastermind Scheming hand. We have an Ensnaring Fumes hand. We have a couple of Zephyrs in hand where I could end up Zephyring if I need to do an interaction. Instead, I'm debating what I want to do. I can go level 2 here to get extra health if I need to. I do have Ensnaring Fumes to clear the board if that's wanted. But I also need prep counts at this point before I go level 2. And it sucks because this level 2 feels really bad, but I needed the life. And that's why I'm sort of debating if I really wanted to go down and get Windwalk Boots so I can get the extra draw, because I don't get the draw for Tristan. I need at least 2 prep counters. So we are going to go ahead and go Windwalker Boots here. And then Windwalker Boots, we're going to untap our Dream Fairy. We're going to look at our memory. We're going to go ahead and recollect here. Double checking. We do have a Dungeon Guide in hand, but we don't want to use it just yet. We want it for level 2. And we are going to go ahead and I think our opponent was double checking something before I drew a card. I think they were asking a question. Okay. Our opponent did talk about, and I think they were so frozen at that point. I just waited because they were just standing so still. I thought they disconnected and didn't want to draw a card until they were there. So we draw into our hand. I think we ended up drawing into another Windmill Engineer. So we go to look around, see what we have. We can play Sadie if you want. We can play Windmill Engineer back down if you want to. And I'm just trying to figure out the best value overall. And there is the argument where I could have also Dream Fairy again. Could have got rid of this Lurking Assailant. See how many cards I have in memory. I'm trying to plan out if they could lethal me this turn. And I sort of messed up my math a little bit. I mean, there's still a chance, but it's harder. They don't have automatons. I'm going to go ahead and pay 2 here. And we're going to go ahead and... Oh, sorry, pay 3 for a Sadie. We're going to try and clean up one of these Lurking Assailants again. We're going to swing one in with Snow Fairy. And then there's going to be, that's Snow Fairy. Dream Fairy, there's going to be a retaliation from Lurking Assailant. That is level 1. So they're going to go ahead and get the retaliation. And then they're going to go ahead and attempt to clean it up with Sadie at this point. That's why they're doing. They probably have some form of interaction because they went for the clear early on that instead of Sadie, which they're going to go ahead and Fable Winds to keep it alive at 1 health. So we let that resolve. Nothing else we could really do about it. Could have been a situation where we kept the Handcam, but we didn't. And it sort of puts in the acquisition. We can try and clear it up still with a Windmill Engineer, but we decided to go to keep up our hand because we can Ensnaring Fumes to try and get cards on board. And there is the Rose. So the Rose is a card that we went ahead and feared at this point because Rose is going to get through true damage. It gets big off of these Power Cell tokens. They can buff it with Andronica. They can buff it with Attune the Winds. It's a lot of good value that Rose has here, especially with these Lurkers on the board. I take a lot of chip damage for pretty much free. And they go in and get the GCR and then draw for turn. I'm thinking, okay, I can Ensnaring Fumes here at this point. But it's going to make it really awkward. Pretty much the opponent's going to go ahead and swing. They're going to get an extra draw here off of this. And it's just I could have Ensnaring Fumes to prevent the draw. But they're pretty much going to have the same resource in, and it's sort of a misplay. I realized after the fact as well, as I should have Ensnaring Fumes right then and there, and this whole board would have been cleared, and they would have never gotten the extra draw card off the manufactured cell, but I don't think it ended up mattering too much. So opponent is going to go ahead now, and they're going to attempt... I could have also Zephyred this Rose later on, but I'm saving up for the Ensnaring Fumes. I was so stuck on bouncing this board state, trying to take less damage, and I think it's just overall punish me. So Rose is going to go ahead and swing in for the damage. And I'm going to go ahead and Ensnaring Fumes. I have to hard pay Ensnaring Fumes, which feels even worse. I don't have the 3 preparation counters. I have no way to do it. I was behind. I actually took two. I don't know why I took 2. Then I should have Ensnaring Fumes then. I don't know why I took the 2 and then decided to Ensnaring Fumes. That was a big misplay on my part. I don't know why I did that. But with Ensnaring Fumes there, everyone's going to look. They're going to go ahead and pick up all their allies back to hand, but then they can pretty much just replay all of them. They can play Rose and then have a couple extra cards to Power Cell token them, and I get another big swing in with Rose if they want to. So we do go ahead and get the Ensnaring Fumes. This would have been a perfect opportunity. If I had my Valiant Breeze still, I could have Valiant Breeze this turn, Stellite versus using this Ensnaring Fumes as well. So there's a lot of misplays I end up doing. So there's going to be a Shimmercook Assassin that's going to go ahead and come down. Another card that can be buffed by these Power Cell tokens, a little bit cheaper than Rose. Get both the Power Cells to get up to 6 damage here, put me up to 18, and then swing in one with a rain for 19, which is, I'm pretty sure, what happens on this. I have no cards in hand, nothing to do. I can't draw off the Swift, I can't draw off the boots because of the fact that I don't have 5 preparation counters, and it was just an overall bad game for me as a whole. Our opponent is going to go ahead and put those 3 cards down. They are going to go ahead and look at a couple of different things and then resolve Andronica. As I resolve that, that's going to get a buff counter also on Shimmercook Assassin. It's going to get a buff on Andronica, and it's just going to come in for a bunch of damage here at this point, especially because they're going to go ahead and imbue it. So imbue down, because now Andronica, Armored Valkyrie, and the Rose as well. Cards that I bounce. on its trigger is going to go ahead and resolve. They get a buff counter on Shimmercloak Assassin, and Drana gets another 2 buff counters on her herself. That comes in for another 3 and 3. And then there's still 2 cards in hand for Power Soul tokens to activate. At least one of them, because the other one is going to go ahead and be tapped because of the fact that Manufacturer's Cell does make a rested Power Soul token. But they're going to go ahead and swing in 3 here. I'm going to go up to 15. They're going to go ahead and activate a Power Cell, swing in for another 5 with Shimmercloak if they need to. They're going to first swing in with Lorraine, put me up to 16. And then here comes the Power Cell swing, which is going to go ahead and finish me off. Which I respect. They're playing around possibly a Resolute Stand at this point. That could be my hand. But end up getting in there for an extra 5 damage, pulling up to 21. And that is going to be game number 1. So I am going to leave that there. I'm going to go ahead and make this into multiple videos for each game. I'm not going to make an hour-long video based off of the gameplay. So let me know if you guys have any comments or suggestions going into edit number 2 here. But I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I hope everyone got good use out of it. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.